On Impactful Branding today, we have our very last, very special edition of our virtual summit. It's a very special cause for me, being in my home away from home in the UAE. And I get to talk to Salim Dahman, Senior Campaign Manager for Dubai Tourism and Commerce Marketing, or as we commonly call it, DTCM in the UAE. Salim, you have so much to share with us. We have a very exciting week in the UAE with our borders opening to tourists. And I am so excited to hear from you. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Zahira. Yes, you're absolutely right. Now that we've opened up and many countries are currently opening up and it's looking positive for everyone. And it's it's summertime, but I know in South Africa, some schools will be opening up really soon compared to the rest of the other countries. So yes, as you mentioned, this was a very challenging situation. And thankfully, our government and how we pulled in together, the whole world went through this together, and at the end, condolences and I don't want to bring the sad news, but again, moving forward, we're thinking more positive. We're trying to get everything back into how it was, or what people like to say, the new normal. So in terms of UAE, I think we've taken every precautionary steps and different protocols in place to make sure that people visiting Dubai have nothing to worry about. So if you look at how UAE handled the crisis, we did a lot of testings across all the different Emirates, people coming in, people within UAE, within Dubai specifically, in the tourism industry. So we took it very seriously, and all the government departments worked together to make sure that everything was followed, because this is something that's, first time happening on a global scale. So it was a bit of a challenge, but we pulled through. And now we're ready to welcome visitors.
So we're completely open. When I say we, I'm just taking ownership of the UAE, as you do, I think, having been an expat here for 10 years. We're ready to welcome visitors. There's certain protocol, that information that you need to acquire before you arrive at our
Correct.
airports, at our borders. And then you're in the city, you can follow. We have pretty good security systems in place to make sure that everything's clean and sanitized. I have to say, I visited some of the children's parks, the aquarium, Green Planet with my son, and I felt completely comfortable. So for anyone looking to visit, they can be rest assured that everything is being 100% taken care of.
Exactly. I mean, they're the simple processes that usually would travel. So again, we go back to a valid visa, a health declaration. So you're fit from the country of origin, you're coming. So once you come into Dubai, you have those things, you're clear through the visa, you have your medical check, and most importantly, medical insurance. So if you haven't done a pre-test in your country of origin, you will be doing a test in Dubai. And for now, the test will be conducted after you've gone through immigration. So once you've done that, your results will be sent to you immediately on your phone, but you have to download an app. We have a specific app that's a COVID-19 app to almost let you know your results, and at the same time for the government to reach out to you when there's any situation, if you need help. So those are the key things. And we have pre-testing. So you don't necessarily need to do the test once you're in the UAE. If you've done a test in your country and you've done it before coming to Dubai, then you're fine. We will use that to allow you to enter. But other than that, we want to promote and we want to tell everyone that it's the same process. It's just a few extra steps for your own safety that we encourage. But like you said, all the places are open in terms of all the entertainment places for families, for individuals, for couples. We've opened up and we've taken the necessary steps.
Now, Salim, I want to take a step back from the current situation we're in and look at Dubai as a whole. Being in branding, being in communications for over 15 years, one of the reasons I love and I'm always so continually fascinated by Dubai is the way it's built up the city as a brand. And destination marketing is a tricky thing. We know that every country in the world does it, but not every country in the world does it as well. So what would you say are the secrets, or what is the strategy, if you're willing to share some of it with us, behind the fantastic model of Dubai as a destination brand?
I mean, the main thing is, if we look at it, is obviously the vision and the leadership of His Highness by directing it. So if you look at Dubai airports, we have one of the busiest airports in the Middle East, in the world, in fact. So with a busy airport, you have connections, you have Emirates that's doing a fantastic job of bringing people in or connecting people through transit. So those are the two key areas I think that are important first. And then if we look at Dubai as a brand and all the points of interest that we have, the different pillars, if you will. So if it's gastronomy, it's adventure, it's health, it's even now educational tourism, all of that, we've put it in place and we've always made sure that it's world class. So even when you're experiencing a hotel, I'm sure you've gone for weekend getaways, and you know the standard that besides the traditional 5-star, Dubai has an extra step to make sure that it's certified even higher standards than usual. So we've always done that. And what makes Dubai even unique for us is also position. So you have proximity. So I know for South Africa, it's a bit of a long flight compared to the other African countries. So when we're talking about Africa in general, East and West Africa, it's not that of a long flight. But for South Africa, again, I wouldn't call it, Dubai to New York flight.
No, absolutely.
But it's 8 to 9 hours. So it's still, Emirates gives you a great experience on your way here. So value for money as well. That's another point that we need to think about, that what you spend in Dubai for a 5-star hotel and the experience that you get is really value for money. So great infrastructure, communication in terms of the moment you arrive, you need data, you get a SIM card. Some SIM cards from some partners are free for you to, send that message to your mom. Hey mom, arrive safely. And then you're on to adventure. And so the value for money in terms of any experience, if you're going to the theme parks, you're going to the restaurant, you're getting that 5-star treatment for something that in other markets or other places, you would pay an arm and a leg. So that's what I think Dubai's secret is: proximity, value for money. And then, again, Dubai is a population of almost 200 nationalities. So you know how it is. You go out, you meet different people. So you never really feel that you're in a different country as per se, but you're in a country where you meet different people and it feels home to a certain extent.
I couldn't agree more with so many of the things and what you were saying in terms of the experiences. I mean, in 2015, I brought over 28 South African celebrities, so a mix of sportsmen, TV stars, and through them, we showcased the city over a week in the lead up to the Dubai Sevens, and the feedback from the South African market, which is one of the markets I'd say I work with the most frequently, was that, wow, we didn't know that there was so much more. And through these celebrities, they were just vehicles really to convey what for us living here, we take for granted so often, Basta Kia and Al Fahidi and the yachts, and the next day you're in. I mean, we barely went to a mall, but shopping is always a big part of the feature for the guys that wanted to do it. And I think that's what's so important to convey through conversations like this, particularly to those markets, is that there is so much here for you. There is so much for you to benefit from.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes, we have people who come in with 5-day packages, and then by the 3rd day, it hits them that, oh, wait, we need more time. There's so much more to do. Like you said, the mall, yes, a lot of people love shopping. What we've seen from South Africans in general, the data that we have is, yes, shopping is a pillar, but they're more into what you mentioned, the culture, the tradition, and then the adventure. I mean, like you said, the yachts, people, especially people from Cape Town who are coastal, who come to Dubai and say, oh, wow, you have a bit of the city and you have a bit of the coastal life. So it's a win-win from every angle if you're looking for a destination that kind of gives you everything. Yeah.
Now, something I've experienced, I've spent, I want to say, my best years, let's call it, in the UAE. So I came in my early 20s. I'm now in my early 30s, gone through the single life, been married, got married in Dubai, had my first child in Dubai, and we're now going through that family cycle of all the family activities to do. And your weekends are different, and your Thursday nights are different. But I've noticed, having been here, that Dubai has made the city so much more family friendly. Was that intentional? Has that just evolved? Is there a strategy behind that? I just feel now that family basket is so full and wholesome.
Yes, I mean, Dubai is growing every day. So the moment that we didn't have any theme parks, if you're talking about 10 years ago, meaning huge theme parks, now we have 5 to 6 different theme parks in terms of water parks, in terms of roller coasters. So before we realized that families is a huge segment and people are willing. So you would look at traditional theme park destinations like, your World Disneys and Paris. And then we saw that, you know, those were strong brands, but then Dubai wanted to have something as well, and something for everyone. So you have your IMGs with the Marvel, and you have the different water parks with Jumeirah and Laguna. So all this has something for everyone and at different price points. And like you said, it is intentional. It is for, again, the residents who live here to have something to do. I mean, I have 3 kids of my own, so at different ages. So every weekend, it's not about where do we take them, but how do we manage to take them to places where all of them will, you know, have fun and not complain. So if we're going to the beach, you know, you have my 12-year-old who'd want to do something more, I don't know, more exciting and more adventurous, versus my other son who would, you know, want to play video games even at the beach. So when we have our food, you know, our food courts there, or we have our you know, our food in Dubai, that food canteen that was in Kite Beach. So you had stalls that had games, that had, you know, jumping castles. So it's something for everyone to enjoy, especially if you're family. But at the same time, that once you've done with all those activities, you get them back home. If you have a nanny, great. If you don't, if you're, you know, you have a relative who's going to take care of your kids, you and your husband can quickly go, you know, go out for a date night or something, and then come back. So even if you're visiting in terms of a tourist, same thing. You have the day, you can plan the day where it's okay, 4 or 5 hours, I'm with the family. Once they're back in the hotel, you know, some of the hotels offer, you know, to take care of the kids while you're away. So you can sneak in, like Atlantis, go for a quick dinner, relax. The mom could probably go get a spa treatment. That dad could go, you know, I don't know what he would like to do. Like personally, I just want to chill somewhere and just relax. But like you mentioned, there's something for everyone and at different price points. So you never feel that it's priced out for different people at different categories that are coming to Dubai.
Absolutely. Now, a subject matter that I know, even having lived here and as open as the world is with people being able to do research online, security is always a question that comes up. And it's one of the reasons I stay here. It's one of the reasons I love being here. It's one of the reasons that I possibly could never leave. So you're going to struggle to get rid of me one day. But security is always a big question, particularly if you're in a group of just females, or if you're in a family with young children. And it's one thing that I think people always, once they arrive and they experience the city, leave going, wow, I've never felt so safe. I mean, even like you said, if you don't have a nanny as a tourist, it's one of the few cities in the world where I would have absolutely no problem calling up to an agency, which there are many that are approved of, and getting a nanny, because you know the safety is such a high priority for the government, for the properties, for everything. So in terms of safety for travelers, we spoke about the COVID-19 aspect of the health perspective, but just general living, general day to day. It's a city that prides itself.
Absolutely. You've mentioned all the points. I mean, we take security very seriously. So from the moment you check in your hotel, the hotel will have your information. We know where you are in terms of from the hotel to the next touch point that you've gone. All the information, whether on a federal level, on a government level, Dubai level, is shared. And because we have such a strong relationship with our shareholders, be it the hotels, be it the entertainment, the theme parks, we always have security and we share. And it's not only about security where there are 1,000 cameras everywhere, but security in terms of ease. When there is an issue, how do I report it? How do I get help? And I can tell you a story of about 2 years ago, we had almost a campaign where we had a Facebook competition, and we had some South Africans who won a Facebook competition with Dubai Tourism, and we brought them here to Dubai. And they had a great time. So it was an all-inclusive trip. They went, you know, to the traditional places, Al Bastakia. They went to the museums. They went to the beaches, the malls, everything. And they had a fantastic time. And then when they were on the plane, they sent me an email saying, we forgot our iPad.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to do. And because they forgot their iPad, and we said, okay, fine, we know where you stayed. And within 3 days, we got the iPad sent back to them, and they left it in a restaurant. So we got it back from that restaurant to the hotel, from the hotel back to us, and we couriered back.
Yeah.
And they sent us an email that both those couples who came to Dubai actually work for the South Africa Cape Town Police Force. Yeah. And they were amazed. And they were saying, you know, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And they were, they said, it was a great experience. We had a safe, we didn't have any issues at all. And even though we worked well, and then they loved the experience, I think that returning the laptop, iPad was great for them, and they really loved it. And within that story, you can guess that that's it. Even if you forget something, you forget your wallet, your passport, there are numerous stories that happen. And we're happy about that. And we want people to feel home when they're here in Dubai.
Yeah. No, I mean, to put things in a South African context for you, I mean, I've lived away from home for a long time now. And if I go home, I forget. Like my mother keeps saying to me, "You're not in Dubai. You're not in Dubai. Don't forget, you're not in Dubai. Don't put your handbag on." And it's just, you're so conditioned coming from a country like South Africa to be so on edge about security, which is why I asked the question, because I know people come here and are looking over their shoulder. And, the simple examples, when you go to a supermarket, the trolleys have the hooks. And as women, we hang our handbags on there and we'll walk away. Like we can walk down the aisle, go get the milk, leave it. And you don't think about it. Whereas my mother was like panicking about it, going, "You can't do that. Someone's going to take it." I'm like, "Mom, it's Dubai."
And that's the thing I think we need to also reinforce. I know there's also like a stereotype or misconception that, Dubai is super religious and strict. So a lot of questions we get on our social media is people asking us, if I'm single, if I'm a woman, in my early 20s or 30s, and, I went out, how safe it is, how can I dress, So the guidelines we always say is that, different places, like if you're going to a party, definitely you're not going to be dressed in a scuba gear. You're going to dress appropriately for that event. But regardless of how you're dressed and where you are, I mean, it's always safe. Nobody's going to harass you. Nobody's going to, come up to you and make you feel uncomfortable. Even if you're in a group of women walking at 3 a.m., the worst that could happen is if you're leaving at 3 a.m. and you're lost, is the police are always around. They would even assist you, call you a cab, or even themselves make sure that you guys reach safely. So there's always that sense of community, even with the police. So the moment you see police, you feel that, okay, they're here to help me versus what's going to happen now. Am I in trouble? So you shouldn't feel that way. And the police are trained in such a way that they speak to the tourist visiting and inform them if they don't know anything, especially things that to do with cultural sensitivity. It's always dialogue. It's always tolerance. And that's what we love pushing. Whether you're on the beach, whether you're at a club, whether you're in the mall, security will even, assist you and say, if something's not appropriate, sensitive to people, that you've been living here, so you know how it goes. So it's a right balance. And I think you won't have any problem in terms of a female worrying about safety and security here in Dubai.
No, I can absolutely vouch for that. I mean, even when you go home, or when I go home now, you get asked those questions like, is it safe for me to go outside? Can I go out at night? You think the world is so open and the internet is so accessible, but there's always those preconceived notions about what you may have heard, or, they confuse regions in the Middle East with each other. So they sort of have overlapping stereotypes. But like I said, having lived here 10 years, I went through the single life, I went through the going out life, and now, and at no stage, even at 3 o'clock in the morning, lost walking, you ever feel unsafe. If anything, you're confused about directions or roads or which lane of Sheikh Zayed you need to be on to get off at the right exit. But that's probably it, from a safety perspective. And I think that's important for people to understand, particularly from a market where security is such a high concern matter.
Correct. Yeah. And we have a lot of South Africans. You're aware that the South African community here is huge. And you have a lot of people who, like yourselves, who is an advocate for us, saying, don't worry, come to Dubai, it's fine. So we saw almost 122,000 South Africans visiting Dubai, and we want more. And especially we have flights now with Emirates coming from the main 3 cities. So there's no excuse.
Absolutely.
So, to the audience, when they're listening to this, again, Dubai is open for business and it's welcoming. And I know a lot of South Africans do a lot of transit, because again, they're going to the UK, they're going to Australia. Again, never feel shy. Ask for Emirates. When you book your ticket on Emirates, they can give you a temporary, 96-hour visa. Break your journey. Maybe on the way back after you visited family abroad, stop over and come into Dubai. Because I'm sure every person that we've convinced to step out, even for a day, ends up extending 2 or 3 days. And it's
Absolutely.
not only the experience, it's also, like I mentioned before, the value for money. So they realize that, oh, wow, you know, I wish I would have stayed longer because I'm not spending as much. Or if I want to spend, I'm getting great value.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that. And I think the important thing is to realize that as a city, and I sound like a walking billboard for Dubai, but there's so many great campaigns through the year that also encourage and support that value. Like we're about to start Dubai Summer Surprises, which I think you
Correct.
obviously will be able to share a bit more on in terms of what's going on for the benefit of people that may or may not be from Africa as well. But like that, there's so many periods in the year where there's amazing citywide campaigns and everyone's super excited. Shopping festivals, another big one that gets us internally more excited than I think those coming in from external, but you know, all good and well. So it's just a great place to rotate through. And even in the summer, it's my first full summer in Dubai in 10 years without
Oh,
leaving.
yeah.
And I'm just really enjoying rediscovering my home. There's
Yeah.
so much to do, even with the heat.
So yeah, in the year, we usually have for Africa, we have two campaigns that run. So we have a summer campaign. I mean, traditionally, summer is a big family travel period. So we'd have a lot of Africans coming in summer, especially from Nigeria, especially from East Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, and South Africa as well. So summer, like you mentioned, Dubai Summer Surprise. If your family, you have two kids or one kid, it's amazing because you have all these bundle deals and passes where you can go to different theme parks, different play areas, and shows. There are a lot of shows everywhere. It's not about just spending to get into an amusement park, but everywhere you go, there are setups where you can just enjoy for free. Go into a park, and you know there are free shows, there are food stalls, so everyone can have a great experience without breaking the bank.
Mm.
And that's what I feel summer is. The main summer campaign for us is trying to tell people the value that you're getting out of traveling in summer. The heat, we're not going to ignore that. It is hot. But again, you've been here 10 years. You
Yeah,
know that, you know, by the second, third day, you've acclimated and you know what's going
yeah.
on. You know, you have your itinerary planned out. It's not an issue. And then again, when we move over to our next campaign, which is in winter, which this year we're pushing really hard, is to tell people, you know, we got over this bad Q1 and 2, and now you deserve a break. You've earned it. You know, you've made it through. So welcome to Dubai in winter when people have those breaks. You know, and we have a lot of, you know, concerts happening in Dubai, a lot of huge events, whether it's business or leisure. You know, we have something for everyone, and that's what we like to push, especially for winter. You know, come to Dubai, and then the best, I think, for me personally, the fireworks in New Year Eve.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, everyone tunes in. We've
Special.
seen people go online live. Burj Khalifa puts on a show for everyone. So I think that's an experience that at least once in your lifetime, you should have it in your bucket list. I mean,
Absolutely.
for us, we see it every year, but it still doesn't get old.
No, it never gets old. I think Dubai's special events never get old because every year there's just consistent innovation. And as
Yeah.
a city, I feel like when I say we're always overachieving. We're always trying to do do better than we did last year, do better than anyone else that we can, because we have that ability. It's a city of, I always say it's a city of spice and gold, because there's just so much variation and so much value and worth from the cosmopolitan community that we have. And in terms of markets, if we're talking about people that need to come through, and in terms of Africa as a complete market, we've touched on South Africa and the numbers that come through. What would you say the role of an African market, or what is the role of the African market within the landscape or within the sort of plan for Dubai?
I mean, the way we talk to, so the way we market to Africa versus the other markets, to a UK, for example, or the US, is we know Africa is a very direct market in terms of how we talk to them. So when we're running our marketing campaigns or branding, it's never very aspirational and very conceptual. It's very direct. And I've been to all across Africa, whether it's Nigeria or Cape Town or Johannesburg.
Mm.
People are very direct, but at the same time, people are very straightforward and friendly. So when we push our marketing campaigns for Africa, it's always different from everywhere else. So the music is different because music is key. the people that we use. So a lot of celebs and influencers that we put in our marketing campaigns, we never use random models. We use celebrities who've been to Dubai, who've experienced it, and they become our advocates and talk about Dubai in a special way. So I think that's our angle, where we use celebs, we localize the content, we push when we're doing our radio ads. And you know, last year we had some radio ads in South Africa, and we did some out-of-home billboards. And just from that, we saw a lot of responses, a lot of questions on our website, on our social media. So we realized that that's the way to go, versus other markets where they might not want to see a celebrity pushing a destination. But it's so organic with Africa, because we know those celebs have been here, so they're not really selling Dubai. They love the experience and it's genuine. So it comes across to the audience that, oh, wow, you know, I really want to go there because so-and-so has been there. And then when they are here and they realize the different options, it's even better. So they get wowed. And that's what I think is the unique selling point for Dubai when we're talking to Africans.
I think that's so true, because if, you know, going back to that trip with those South African celebrities, that was the one thing that shone through really strongly, is their genuine appreciation for the city, and the subsequent response, which 5 years later, when I'm home and I'm out at an event, people will still refer to that trip. Those same celebrities will say, hey Z, when are we going back to Dubai? And I was like, I can do it anytime. Hand over your credit card. But that interest in coming back and re-experiencing that, which for a lot of them was like a dream, which is our, I won't say day to day, but is a regular trip to Dubai, which is just so much extra. It's so much added value. It's so much experience, and it's so much that you can take away. You're in the desert one day on a camel, the next day you're on a yacht out in Dubai Marina, you know, sailing around the Burj Al Arab. And it's that, I think, that people in Africa need to understand, you know, that 2 or 3 days, like you said, that will then convert to 5, 6, 7, because you will inevitably fall in love with our region as much as we do, is what you need to focus on your next trip, because the routes that you're flying, you're stopping here anyway, right? So just step out and explore a little bit more.
And building on what you said, a lot of the satisfaction surveys that we conduct once people have visited Dubai, South Africans score us really high. So they're satisfied in terms of value. They're satisfied in terms of the quality of service. So when we look at the results from different countries, we're like, oh, wow. So South Africans really like Dubai or love Dubai once they've experienced it properly. The satisfaction surveys that come from there is just like, we look at it and like, oh, okay, so we've done our job. And that makes us happy too also. And areas of improvement as well, you know. So now we have how many South African restaurants that have opened up here. So we've seen that community also, the business and the entrepreneurs, South Africans who are based here in Dubai, build that as well. People just like yourself who, you know, living in Dubai and building a business. So that's the other area that we like to shine as well, that Dubai doesn't just brand itself as just a leisure, but also business.
Absolutely.
So business in Dubai, So business in Dubai is set up in such a way that it builds and supports the entrepreneur. And because you have amazing infrastructure, it makes it easier. And I don't want to talk more about this because you firsthand experienced this yourself. And we've seen the numbers go up in terms of new businesses being set up, whether it's even financial institutions, services. We've seen that grow tremendously.
No, I mean, that's 100% right. I mean, I came here and the success of my business has depended on my exposure and the sort of opportunities that Dubai puts in your plate. And it's the one thing I'd say, when I go back and lecture to sort of uni students in branding and communication and PR about, you know, the international market and international trends and, you know, thinking outside the country's borders a little bit. It's one of the questions that I get asked more often, like, why Dubai? Why are you not in London? Why are you not somewhere else? And the answer is very simple. It's opportunity. What Dubai has placed in front of me, I couldn't be more grateful for every single day. I always say to people, you know, you always get those interview questions. And I always say, one of the things that they ask always is, what is your greatest reason for doing what you do? And it's because Dubai has taught me that nothing is impossible. Nothing's unattainable. Nothing's impossible. So from that perspective, 100% couldn't agree more. So if you were to leave Africans, South Africans, with something to look forward to. Obviously, they're going through a little bit of a challenge at the moment in terms of not knowing when they may be able to visit us or land on our shores. And I think messages of hope and positivity are always great. What is it that you would say to them, besides the fact that we're here, we're waiting for you, and we can't wait to welcome you back?
I mean, like I said, we went through this, and eventually there's light at the end of the tunnel. Again, this is a phase, and hopefully everyone will come out stronger and better from this. And because of this, we've become better in terms of protocols, in terms of hygiene. So for the South Africans, I know it's really tough. Most of the airports are closed. The estimations we've gotten is probably towards the end of July or mid-August even for some cities. But yes, this will end and things will open up. You need to stay positive. And like we said, Dubai is open and Dubai is always welcoming everyone. And I know that once things resume slowly back to normal, we've seen the numbers jump up where people also say, like, you know what, now that it's over, I deserve a vacation. Absolutely. So don't worry. And as much as you can say that, don't worry, but again, take your precautions and we'll get through this, because we're trying to get through this, and we're taking it day by day. As you've seen, we've just opened up yesterday. The first batch of tourists have arrived into Dubai. They're having great experiences. People are posting on social media, thanking the government. So if they're worrying about safety and security, they shouldn't about Dubai. And for people in South Africa, things will open up, and I'm sure things will resume back to normal faster than usual.
Salim, before I let you go, you're an expert on Dubai. So this is going to be a tough question, but your 5 top picks. So it can be places to eat, dine, entertain, leisure, you choose, but 5 top picks in Dubai, any time of year.
Okay. I mean, I'm born and raised here, and I have my secret locations that I go.
That's why I'm asking. It's a secret question. It's a very loaded question.
I mean, there are a bunch of obviously places to eat. So for me, it's important. So there are places like Ravi in Satwa, which is, I grew up eating there. So when I'm very stressed and I need to blow up some steam, I go work out, jog, whatever do I need to just to get my calorie count deficit. And I just go to Ravi and just, eat there. So it's something that I love doing, and I love eating there, and it hasn't changed for so many years. It's been 30 plus years. And besides that, in terms of gastronomy, then again, for me, the beaches. So I grew up in the beaches, Jumeirah Beach when it was the open beach, till it became Le Mer right now. And that's just, even in summer, like when I was growing up before school, we would go with friends, we would walk on the beach, swim right before going to school. So the beaches, again, the restaurants, malls. Now that I have kids, yes, Dubai Mall is, I think, one of the places that is good for me to just kind of throw them. and the missus can also go do her shopping. And I can take a break, whether browsing electronics and doing all that. So the mall, yes, it's one of their Dubai malls specifically. Yeah. And then the other thing I think for me personally is I love Old Dubai. So Al Fahidi, Old Dubai to me always has its charm. Going through the spice market and the gold souk. So there are places in the gold souk where you can get, halwa, the Arabic sweet, which is just, there are places that have been there more than 50 years. So, and it tastes nothing like anywhere else. So when you go to those old places and you rediscover the traditional foods and even just the spices. So we're used to going to the supermarket and just getting, turmeric or whatever spices that you need. Yeah. But when you go to the spice market, you can see in terms of color and you can smell the difference that something is so fresh. And yeah, for me, that's really important. So when you cook, when you're back home and you're cooking, you're like, oh, that's a little special touch. Yeah. And then when people ask you, oh, what did you add? It's like, no, it's just me. It's special.
Just your
so
cooking
yeah, those
skills.
are the places. And I know South Africans mainly is they're fascinated, and everyone, in fact, with the desert safaris. Yeah. And I think the desert safaris are amazing in terms of seeing the desert, seeing the openness. And it's a place, I think, for most people to go and just relax and reflect, actually. So, you know, once in a while, once the weather's good, you know how it is in UAE or Dubai generally, you have to have a four-wheel. So
Yeah.
you're somewhere in the desert, you know, camping, or, you know, the night sky looking at the stars. So I think Dubai has something for everyone. So even if you've been to Hatta is an area where, you know, it's mountainous. You have a lake there where you can canoe. So you see a different side of Dubai, that
Yeah.
away from the glitz and glamour and all the futuristic buildings. So, like I said, these are the other places that I love going to, and yeah, I welcome everyone again to come to Dubai and see the different sides of Dubai and what it has to offer.
Salim, thank you so much for your time today. And, you know, even
Thank
just
you.
listening to you makes me more excited to get out and get everyone over the border and into the country. But most importantly, it's just great to know that it's a city that's constantly evolving. It's a brand that's constantly improving, evolving, innovating, and really paving the way in a destination marketing industry of what a city needs to be and how it needs to be setting itself up for success, for sort of just overall experience. And thank you today for
Yeah.
sharing that with us.
No worries. And I would advise people, I mean, if they want to know more, visit our website, visit Dubai.com. And then we have our YouTube channels where you can even experience 360 virtual tours. So you can you can go to the museums, you can even look at the beaches, look at Burj Khalifa, and have an experience and say, oh, so this is what Dubai has to offer. And I hope that pushes you to make a decision to visit us soon. So that is something that I would encourage people to you know, follow us on social media, to go to our websites, get as much information as you can, because whatever fear you had of Dubai being, you know, the expensive or they don't have everything that I'm looking for, once you go to our websites and you get all that information, I'm sure you'll be convinced that there's something for everyone.
Absolutely. We're the happiest city and the smartest city, right? And there you go. The 360 ticks all those boxes for them.
Thank you.
Salim Dahman, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.